Hello and welcome to episode 94 of Daryl Show Your Work. All right, so in this episode, I'm going to go all the way and do what I've been teasing to do in previous episodes. So I know in some episodes I've shown how to crack password hashes, and other episodes I've shown how to dump password hashes, and I've stopped there. So this time I'm going to take us through the whole routine, and we're going to infiltrate a remote host, find the password hashes, dump those hashes, and crack them all in real time. All right. So before I get started, I want to preface this video with my usual disclaimer. This is for research, educational, and ethical purposes only. Any sort of offensive red team activities that I do here, any sort of malicious actions that come about someone watching my videos, whether that's directly or indirectly, from what they've seen, I do not take any responsibility for, nor do I condone. All right, so let's get started with our discovery of our target host. So before I can do that, let's find out what my IP address is. All right. So I am on Ethernet. I'm on the Ethernet 1 interface, and it looks like my IP address is 192, 174, 194.2. All right. So let's do a ping sweep, and let's see who else is awake on my local network here. All right. So in order for me to do that, I need to give ping sweep here my CIDR address. All right. So that's going to be 192, 174, 194. 0/24, and that's going to send an ICMP packet to all the devices that are up on my local network, and whoever's up and running, I'm going to get a response from them. All right, so 3 devices usual, 1 being the gateway, we're not going to mess with that, 2 being us, and 3 being our target. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is some recon activity, and let's see what ports are open. So I'm going to do a service scan. And matter of fact, let's take down my that target. All right, so I'm going to store that in mousepad here. Change that to a 3. And then copy it, because I'm going to need that a lot here in this video. All right, so we're going to paste that here. All right, and so we're going to run nmap against our target host and see which ports are open and what version of the protocol of the ports that are open. All right, so we can see that port 21 is open, which is running the FTP protocol, which it runs by default. And we can see the version here is ProFTP 1.3.3.3c. All right. So in previous videos, I've done version specific attacks. So I'm going to do that here. And so I'm going to take a different route, though, in targeting the specific version. I'm not going to jump straight into the Metasploit framework, but I'm going to use a similar tool related to it called Searchsploit. And what Searchsploit to do is I'll give it a Searchsploit a piece of information, and it'll look to see if it has any sort of known exploit related to that keyword that I give it. So it's just like using the search function within the Metasploit framework, except I'm doing it outside of the Metasploit framework, and I actually don't have to be logged in or have a msfconsole session active when I search it. So this is going to search that Metasploit framework for me for any related attacks to the keyword that I've given it. So I'm going to give it the keyword, the specific version of FTP that is running. That's the ProFTPD. So let's see if there's anything related to that in this database. All right, so we see got a lot of output here. So remember the version was 1.3.3c. So we can see right here, there's actually a backdoor remote execution module directly related to this specific version. All right, so now I'm going to jump into Metasploit, and I'm going to search for that particular module within there, and run it against our target host, since we know that it has a vulnerability to that. All right, so let's get the PostgresQL database started first. All right, and then I'm going to combine that with the step to run the msfconsole, which is going to start up the Metasploit framework for us. All right. All right, so let's create a workspace here. I'm going to call it workspace -a, and let's call this hash. All right. And then let's see, we want to set our target host or our remote host as a global parameter, so I don't have to keep entering it in throughout the video as I jump from module to module. All right, so that's set globally for us. All right, and now let's search for that ProFTPD. All right, so we can see, let's see, right here at the bottom. All right, so we have that that ProFTPD 133C backdoor exploit module. All right, so I'm going to choose that. So it looks like its module ID is 16. So I'm going to say use 16. All right, so let's look at the options. All right, so doesn't really need anything else, but I'm going to set a different payload. So instead of using the backdoor, I'm going to set a payload of a reverse shell. All right. All right, looks like that's set. All right, so I should be good to run this. So I'm gonna run exploit and let's see what happens. Didn't like that. Let's see. Oh, I got set to LHOST. Okay, so even though that did not appear, no problem. All right. So let's give it my IP address, which I am .2. Yeah, even though it says it's an unknown data store, let's try to run that again. Nope, it's all right. So maybe I have to get rid of the S and just. Okay, there we go. All right. Now let's run the exploit. Give it a few seconds here. All right. All right. So it looks like it threw us right into a shell. So it skipped the whole meterpreter connection, and we're right into the machine. So in order to test this, I'm gonna say, who am I? All right, and I'm actually have a root session here. All right, and then let's see, let's do a list. All right, we see a list of our local directory. So let's say I wanted to let's start a actual bash session as root. So I'm gonna say bin bash dash I. All right, now I'm root at demo. All right, so now I'm in I have a bash session, so I'm gonna say ID, so we can see what my permissions are. I have basically just root privileges across the board, and I'm not part of any group. All right, so I'm going to background this for a minute. So I'm gonna do a Control Z to background it, and I'm gonna tell it put Y to tell it yes. All right, so anytime we want to see what our current sessions are, that session should still be running. I'm gonna say sessions. All right, we can still see that shell session running, and so it's running in the background. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to let's try to turn that session into a interpreter session. All right, we want to still to have a full shell. I'm gonna say sessions dash u and then one. Let's see what happens. All right, so I'm gonna type sessions again to see if that was successful. All right, so now we have two sessions going. So first we have my shell session going, and now we have an actual 32-bit meterpreter session. All right, so I'm going to jump into that meterpreter session. So I'm gonna say session 2. I think that should be have an S on it. Yeah, sessions 2. All right, see now it put me in meterpreter. All right, so let's do sysinfo. All right, so these are meterpreter commands I'm doing right now because they're not actual um, not actual um, Linux commands, because I'm not all the way in the system. I'm using Meterpreter. All right, so we can see again, this confirming that I have that 32-bit session with the 64-bit um, uh, version of Ubuntu 18.04, but I'm not going to migrate to a 64-bit session in this one because I don't need to do what it is that I'm trying to do here. All right, so I'm gonna say get UID just to make sure we're still root. We are indeed still root. All right, so now I'm gonna do something that I haven't done before in any of my videos. So usually, when it comes to looking up sensitive information, I usually go for the passwd a file, which basically hosts all the user accounts and on the machine. Now I'm actually going to go for the shadow directory or shadow file directory, which that is what houses all the password hashes in the system. All right. So to get there, I'm going to say cat etc and then shadow. All right. So it looked like we have one hash here, and it's to the root directory. All right. I mean not the root directory. Excuse me. And so this number right here, usually beginning hashes, the number that's in front of the hash usually would tell you what type of algorithm is being used. All right, so this $6 is telling me that this is actually a SHA-512 hashing algorithm. So that's good for me to know. So I'm going to use a tool to try to crack this, but I need to know. I need to basically need to be able to tell that tool what hashing algorithm that I'm targeting here as far as trying to crack. So this number in front here is very important. Okay, so um, the next thing I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna background this now again. I'm gonna say yes. All right. So now that I have that background now, let's try to do a hash dump. Let's try to dump this hash into my local directory. So I'm going to search for a hash dumping module here within the Metasploit. All right, so it looks like we have several. So I want to look for something Linux based. So let's see. Um, Here we go. So number 5, post Linux gather hash dump, and we look at the description for that. Linux gather dump password hashes for Linux systems. So since I'm on a system and we're targeting a Linux system, that seems like the ideal tool to use. So I'm gonna say use, and that has a module ID of 5. So I'm gonna say use 5. All right, let's go to show options. All right. So I need to tell it which session that I want to use, and which session am I going to be doing this dump from. So remember, we found this hash during our interpreter session, so that needs to be session 2. So I'm gonna set the session to 2. All right. So since that appears to be the only parameter I need to set, I'm gonna go to run and let's see if it dumps that for me. All right, and it looks like it did. So it dumped that hash for me right here in this txt file. All right. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna now jump to another utility that's gonna crack this for me. So I'm gonna search for a module called crack underscore Linux. All right, and this has um behind it, I can either use John the Ripper, or I can use a Hashcat as the actual tools running behind this module, and you'll see that when it pops up. All right, so you see how it gives me two options. I can either choose one to specify using Hashcat, or 2 to use John the Ripper. If I choose 0, it's going to use John the Ripper by default. So I'm just going to say use 0 just to use John by default. All right, so I'm gonna say show options. All right, so here's where it's important for me to know those that the algorithm that I'm targeting. So this, you see how some things are set to true and some things are set to false. So MD5 is set to true. So SHA-50 512 is automatically set to false. So I'm going to need to set this to true in order to run this against this hash in order to crack this SHA-5 this 512 algorithm. All right, so say set SHA-512 to true. All right, so now that we got that set, we could go ahead and run this. All right, just give it a few seconds here. Let's see what it does. So this automates the process of, further automates, I should say, the process of the password cracking. There's less that I have to do as far as the information I have to give John. All right, and bam. All right, so it looks like the cracked password was indeed password. So that's why it didn't take very long. So this is the actual clear text password once John the Ripper cracked the SHA-512 hash ciphertext, and the output was password. All right, so that brings me to the end of the video, but I wanted to give a high level overview of what was done here. So again, I started off doing some host discovery. We found our target host by doing a ping sweep as usual, and then from there to conduct some recon activity. I ran the nmap tool against our target host. Found that port 21 was open and running a specific version of FTP known as ProFTPD, running version 1.3.3.c. So I wanted to search for any known tools that target that specific version. So I used a Searchsploit utility to search for that, and was able to find actually a exploit module within a Metasploit framework that does indeed target that specific version. So I started up the Metasploit framework, found that tool within it, set the parameters I had to set in it, ran it against our target, and it threw me directly into a shell session. So from there, did some enumeration, came out of it, then ran another sessions command, which gave me a meterpreter session. And from there, I jumped back in, and while in my meterpreter session, I accessed the exe shadow file, which again houses any password hashes stored in that machine. It stores it there, so I found that. Came back out back into the MSF console, searched for a hash dumping tool specific to Linux. Um, then once I chose that, ran that against our target host, and basically I had to give it our interpreter session in order for it to know which session of mine I wanted to dump hashes from. So it was able to successfully dump that hash using that tool. Once we dumped that hash, we then ran the crack um, trying to think of the tool name, the uh, part of my brain fart here, excuse me, the crack Linux tool. And once we ran that crack Linux tool, which uses John the Ripper by default, or I could have chosen Hashcat as well, but I chose to use the default tool behind the module, which is John the Ripper. Once it ran that, in a matter of seconds, it cracked that password from its very long hash to the simple clear text password. All right, and the reason that was successful is because that the number that I saw when I first encountered the hash, that number that was in front of it, the $6, was indicative of a SHA 512 or 512 algorithm being used. So that helped me as far as knowing what to tell that crack Linux module what or which particular hash or hash algorithm to target and to try to crack. All right, so please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. Until next time, take care of yourself.